Welcome to the Books Bible Study, where we are continuing to read the entire Bible. We started at Genesis and we are finally in Exodus. Today we'll be starting Exodus chapter 1, verse 1. Here we go. So we left off in Genesis with the death of Joseph, right, who was embalmed and then placed in a coffin in Egypt. So they had not sent him to his burial place yet. So Exodus verse 1, chapter 1, verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel who came to Egypt. Each man in his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, verse 3. Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, verse 4. Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher, verse 5. All those who were descendants of Jacob were 70 persons, for Joseph was in Egypt already. Verse 6. And Joseph died, all his brothers, and all that generation. Verse 7. But the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, multiplied, and grew exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Verse 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt who did not know Joseph. Verse 9. And he said to his people, Look, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Verse 10. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply. And it happen in the event of war that they also join our enemies and fight against us, and so go up out of the land. So we're no longer dealing with the same Pharaoh, right? And then Joseph is now died. And so this means that after Jacob, Israel, after he passed, it's been about 54 years up until this point when Joseph dies. And this new king sees how many of them it was. And so now he's got to figure out a plan. Like, we have these Israelites here that can overtake us, right? Verse 11 says, Therefore they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh supply cities, Pithom and Ramesses. Verse 12, But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were in dread of the children of Israel. You cannot stop a promise of God. You can try, but you can't stop it. Verse 13, So the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with rigor. Verse 14, And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service in which they made them serve was with rigor. So now it seems like the children of Israel has become basically like slaves of the Egyptians, right? It seems like there was something missing in the middle, though, because if they're living in their own place amongst their own people, taking care of their own crops, their own animals, they're no longer in a famine. The famine was only 7 years. I wonder what happened. What did they say to them, or what transpired where they started working for them? Now, I know that Pharaoh said that if there was a competent one amongst the Israelites, to put them to work over his livestock, but it's been this at least 54 years until this point. Now they're working with brick. Now they're doing all types of services for the Egyptians, and it just seems like something missing in between, them being here, being abundant, and now they're working for them. Verse 15 says, Then the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of whom the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. Verse 16, And he said, When you do the duties of a midwife for the Hebrew women, and see them on the birth stools, if it is a son, then you shall kill him. But if it is a daughter, then she shall live. Verse 17, But the midwives feared God, and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the male children alive. So first they oppressed them physically, right, by overworking them. And now they want to try to control the number of the Israelites by killing the children. Verse 18, So the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said to them, Why have you done this thing, and saved the male children alive? Verse 19, And the midwife said to Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are lively and give birth before the midwives come to them. Verse 20, Therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very mighty. Verse 21. And so it was, because the midwives feared God, that he provided households for them. So they themselves had families that began to grow and multiply as well. Verse 22. So Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, every son who is born you shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. So I see here the plan to stop what God has promised Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, all of them, right? Either by physically wearing them down or by genocide, right? Killing all the male children. Do you all see, do you take note of that in this very first chapter of Exodus? But I really want to know, how did they get into this bondage? Because it says they came, they were fruitful, they multiplied, the land was the most fertile land. So what shifted that caused them to, even begin to ask them to do work for them and serve them rigorously, right? So that's my question that I have. But that concludes Exodus chapter 1, right? Really quick, only 22 verses. Write down your questions. Welcome to Exodus, and we will continue with Exodus chapter 2. God bless.